All right, hello everyone. My name is Jacob Haas, and my presentation is on the ecological impact of the Melaleuca Quinquenervia on the Florida Everglades. Now, a brief introduction to the Everglades. They were established as a national park in 1947, and that's to protect the unique landscape and ecosystem that is the Florida Everglades. It includes wetlands, forests, marine habitats, and it's home to many native species. One of the major current threats to this ecosystem and environment is the Melaleuca tree. Now, the Melaleuca tree is originally from Australia. It was introduced to Florida in the early 1900s for ornamental and agricultural purposes. By 1936, seeds were intentionally dropped over the Everglades by plane to control mosquitoes, to dry up the land for development, and act as a natural agricultural windbreak and soil stabilizer. That was basically, it exploded and spread very rapidly and now covers over 400,000 acres in Florida. The biology and reproduction of the Melaleuca tree, it grows anywhere from 15 to 80 feet tall. It's a thin tree. The flowers, when it flowers, the flowers resemble bottle brushes, and they carry fruit capsule, and each capsule carries anywhere from 200 to 300 seeds, and there's hundreds of capsules on each tree. So there's two reproductive strategies that the Melaleuca tree has. One is a low-level continuous seed release that they'll sprinkle seeds throughout the year, and the other one is what makes this such a rapid growing, and it's just a difficult tree to get rid of, is because it's a massive emergency seed release. So basically, when the seed is stressed, like fire or getting chopped down, it releases all the seeds on the tree. So they can live over 100 years and produce millions of seeds per tree. The environmental impact, it outcompetes native species. So for the native species like sawgrass, pine flatwoods, mangrove forests, and cypress swamps, once it gets into those environments where they live, they basically push them out because they suck up all the water, and they just outcompete them. It absorbs fast water through the deep roots, so it drains the wetlands. So obviously that's not good for a swamp-like place like the Everglades. It converts native landscapes, which would be like open landscapes with like no canopies, into dense closed canopy forests, because they're tall and they're skinny, and they create a canopy over what becomes a Melaleuca forest. And it displaces the animals by destroying their food sources, again pointing to the native plant species like the sawgrass, the mangrove forest, things like that. And over 200,000 hectare-acres have been converted to Melaleuca forest. Now, control and management methods. One method that have been using is a chemical control with the basal bark herbicide application. Basically, they cut a ring around the bark and peel it off, and they expose the core of the tree, and they spray the herbicide applied to a cut ring around the bark. This kills the tree without triggering the emergency seed release, which is very important when trying to get basically inhibit these trees. Another way of control is biological control. So the Melaleuca weevil was introduced, and it's been one of the more effective methods of control for the Melaleuca tree. The weevil feeds on leaves and buds and stems, and it's been introduced to Florida in communities. I believe it started in Port St. Lucie and is now in 14 counties across the state of Florida. And basically they reproduce about 3 times per year. So the weevil population is growing, and we'll see how that goes, because once you introduce different species, whether it be a plant or an animal, There's really no telling what can happen. You know, who knows? Maybe they'll be trying to get rid of the weevils next. Um, the reason why it's effective is that it lays eggs, and when they reproduce, they just feed at a high rate, and it reduces the flowering by up to 90%, which obviously is gonna vastly limit the seed production. Um, so in conclusion, there's a very urgent need for the conservation of the Everglades as an ecosystem, a landscape, and a habitat. The Melaleuca is definitely, it's almost like a nonstop revolving door, because as fast as you can kill them, they can emergency seed release, and they just rapidly grow. And those new growth trees, they also have millions of seeds, so it's like they're just running in place. And it just makes me think about, where's all this money coming from? Who's paying for this? You know, like, what are we doing here? Anyways, Melaleuca was brought for aesthetics and agriculture, but became a major ecological threat. It's vital to support. There's a lot of government initiatives, you know, tax dollars, and there's private donations. I'm sure pretty good tax write-offs. And just ongoing research to manage and try to eradicate the species, which is just very unlikely at this point. It's too much. And if you try to set fire to a large Melaleuca forest, they're just all going to release their seeds, and millions of seeds are going to be released. The future of the Everglades basically depends on controlling the Melaleuca, to keeping it in its place now and not letting it get to an even worse place than we are now, and let the population grow. And that's it. Thank you.